Greetings folks, welcome. In this video I'm going to show you some Excel commands that we can use when we make pie charts, bar charts, and histograms. You might recall that these are the pictures that you can use to show the distribution of a variable. Pie charts and bar charts show the distribution of categorical variables, and a histogram shows the distribution of a quantitative variable. Now before starting, I do need to point out a couple things. First, different versions of Excel are going to look different. I'm using Excel on a MacBook Pro, which will look different than Excel on, say, a PC. Second, there are different ways to do things in Excel. The steps that I'm going to show you I think are really good for beginners, but an experienced Excel user might know some shortcuts or have a different way of accomplishing these same tasks. To find the maximum, and let's say we have data between cells B2 and B501, so we have 500 observations, you would use the formula equals max parenthesis B2 colon B501, and then you close the parenthesis. Then when you hit enter, it would return the largest value between B2 and B501. If you want to find the minimum value, you use the formula equals min, M-I-N, then a parenthesis, B2 colon B501, then you also close the parenthesis. So now let's get fancy and find the range of a variable. And you might recall that the range is the difference between the maximum and minimum values. So to do this, you would say equals max, parenthesis B2, colon B501, and then minus min, parenthesis B2, colon B501. When you put that in a cell in Excel and hit enter, it would give you the range. Again, the difference between the maximum and minimum values. Another important Excel function when making pie charts, bar charts, and histograms is the Countif function. This function allows you to count the number of observations for a variable that meet whatever criteria that you might select. So let's say you wanted to count the number of people with red hair. Back in the day, I had red hair. Now I have no hair. And if red hair is coded in the data set using the number 3, you could count the number of observations that are equal to 3. So let's say you have a hair color variable in column B, and you have 500 observations, and you have data between B2 and B501. To do the Countif function, you would write or put in Excel equals Countif parenthesis B2 colon B501 and then comma 3 and then close your parenthesis. So essentially you're telling Excel that you want Excel to count in the range of B2 to B501 and tell us how many 3s that you found. Or let's say you have a variable that measures people's age and it's in column B. I always use column B as sort of my go-to example. And you wanted to count the number of people that are less than 50 years old. Once again, let's say we have 500 observations and they're in cells B2 to B501. You'd use the Countif function, and it'd be equals Countif parenthesis B2 colon B501. So you're telling Excel to look in the cells between B2 and B501. Then you put in a comma. Then you put in a quotation mark, and yes, the quotation mark here is important, less than 50, and then another quotation mark, and then you close the parenthesis, and you'd hit enter, return. And then Excel would tell you how many observations it found between B2 and B501 that are less than 50. So now let's jump into the spreadsheet where I can show you how to use these formulas. All right, so we're in the spreadsheet now, and the data set I have looks at wait times for the Space Mountain roller coaster at the Walt Disney World. Let's make this a little bit bigger so it's easier to see here. You see we have a spreadsheet here with data in columns A through K. In the top row are labels, so you see month, date, hour, min, temp, etc. So that month is just the month of the year. Since that's 3, that would be March. The date would tell us that it's March 8th. The hour and minute, simply as it looks, it's this would be 10:17 in the morning. I use military time, so if you saw a value of, say, 13 or 14, 13 would mean 1 in the afternoon. 14 would be 2 in the afternoon. 20 would be 8 in the evening. 23 would be 11 at night. You see sunny, cloudy, rain, and storm. These are coded, so if it's coded as a 1, that means yes. 0 means no. So for that observation in row 2, you know it's sunny because sunny is 1 and the other ones are zeros. And then I sort of repeat the sky condition in column J. Actually, that's the one that's highlighted here. And it's coded 1 if it's sunny, 2 if it's cloudy, 3 if it's rainy, 4 if it's stormy. So again, it's just kind of another way of coding it. And then the final column is the wait time for the attraction. You see a wait time of 15 minutes. You see a few times that the attraction is closed, 15, 40, etc. So sometimes it's good to get acquainted with your data set to maybe sort some of the columns just to kind of get an idea of what the data set looks like. So I'm going to show you how to sort the data set. So let's grab the columns where we have data. And you can go over to the Data tab, go over to Sort, and now we can sort the data. And it's asking us how we want to sort. Let's sort by the wait time, just for fun. And let's go largest to smallest, so we'll see the longest wait times. If you click that, voila. Well, it puts the closed up at the top because those it's text, so it doesn't read it as a number. But if we scroll down, we see here are wait times 135 minutes. That would be, 2 hours and 15 minutes. 125, 120. Just keep scrolling. Here's a 75-minute wait time. All the way down to, the shortest wait was 10 minutes. And if you look here, we have, this is in row 1142, so that tells us we have 1,141 observations because the very first row would be the label. Now, something to keep in mind when you sort a data set, you want to make sure that you have all the columns highlighted. Because if I were just to say, let's just sort this column right here for the weight, and if I were to successfully sort that, it would no longer line up with those other variables like the month, the date, the hour, etc. So when you sort, it's good to highlight the whole data set. Now let's see how we can find the maximum and minimum, and then of course the range. So let's look at the wait time variable here. It's in column K. And just as a reminder, we've got, it goes through 11. I overshot it here. Goes through 1142. That's what I thought, but sometimes can't always remember these things. All right. Of course, we sort of know the answer, but let's put in equals max K2 through K1142, and bam, 135 minutes. Let's put in equals min K2 K1142, and you guessed it, it's 10. So let's say we want to do the range. We could say equals max K2 K1142 minus min. See, there's a minus sign there. K2 K1142. Hit enter. It tells us it's 125. Now, when I put in these formulas, I had the exact cells, so I put in K2 through K1142. Here's sort of another way of doing it. If you want to do the maximum, you could say equals max. And one option would be to put your cursor over the K column, and it would fill it in as K colon K. So what that's telling us is just, it's saying find the maximum value in the K column. So if you close your parenthesis and hit return, you get 135. Same thing with min equals min. You could just say K colon K, and once again you get 10 minutes. So we've done max, min, and range. Now let's do the countif. So let's count the number of observations where the temperature is less than 70 degrees. This is Florida. It's in March, so they get some cold weather, but it's probably usually pretty warm. But let's see how many observations are less than 70 degrees. So we can say equals countif. Temperature is in the E column. So, oops, equals countif E colon E, comma. Remember, you have to put in a quotation. And we'll say less than 70. And then hit return. And 498 of the observations, it was less than 70 degrees. What about the sky condition? So one option is we could count the number of observations in the F column that are equal to 1. Or we could count the number of observations in the J column that are equal to 1. But to make it a little bit more interesting, let's do cloudy skies. So let's say equals count if. Again, one option would be to say in the G column equals to 1. And it was cloudy 364 of the observations. Or we could go to the sky condition, because that's also tells us whether it was sunny, cloudy, rain, stormy. And of course, the sky condition variable is coded as A2. So we'll say equals countif J through J, comma, equals to 2. And I bet it's 364. If not, it'll be embarrassing. Phew, okay, there it is, 364. So again, these are just some basic commands. We learned max, min, learned how to take a range, and we learned how to use the countif formula in Excel. These will be very useful when we go to make bar charts, pie charts, and histograms.